The price of power before the memory of identity. You didn't just wake up one day and become a dark chosen one. You didn't stumble into your gifts, your intensity, or your spiritual depth. You were built for it, forged, tempered in frequencies most people will never touch without unraveling. But here's the hidden truth: before you were born, before you had a name, and before your soul was wrapped in flesh, you signed 3 contracts. Not with a pen, not in language, but in energy, in vibration, in agreement, silent, sacred, and binding until remembered.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
This is what no one tells you at the start of the path. That to carry the kind of ancient power you do, you must first agree to forget it. You must enter the world blind, veiled, and fractured. Because the soul that remembers too soon cannot wield its gifts with integrity. To hold your frequency without collapsing timelines around you, you must first be broken by the very world you came to heal. This is the first contract, the contract of amnesia. You agreed to forget your origins. You agreed to be raised by people who would not see you. You agreed to live in systems that would misunderstand you on purpose. Why would any soul choose this? Because remembering your power through pain is the only way to own it. No one can hand it to you. No one can initiate you into it. You must reclaim it through suffering, through betrayal, through silence so loud it screams through your bones. That's the first shadow contract. You signed up to be forgotten, not by the world, but by yourself. And only through the journey of remembering can you become the kind of being who cannot be manipulated again. Think about your childhood, the loneliness, the strange dreams, the sense that you were always different, not better, not worse, just elsewhere. You weren't imagining it. That was the first breach. The first sign that the amnesia was weakening, that the contract was beginning to dissolve. But here's the paradox. The moment you start remembering who you are, the matrix tightens its grip. You get pulled into patterns that feel ancient, lovers who drain you, teachers who try to own you, opportunities that dangle your purpose like bait while slowly cutting your power. Why does this happen? Because the system is built to detect awakening. And once your frequency starts to rise, you trigger the second shadow contract, the contract of isolation. You didn't just forget yourself. You agreed to walk alone, to be the outsider, the anomaly, the one who can't fully attach to any tribe, ideology, or identity because you're not meant to belong. You're meant to see. There is a moment in every dark chosen one's life when the loneliness reaches a pitch beyond language. You're surrounded by people but starving for resonance. You try to shrink to fit in, but your soul screams. You try to speak, but your truth burns bridges. You try to stay, but your spirit pulls you away. That's not dysfunction. That's the contract. You agreed to stand apart so you could see what others are too entangled to perceive. You were never meant to be relatable. You were meant to be real. And here's the deepest wisdom: isolation is not punishment. It's preparation. You are placed in the void so you can hear your own signal. You are removed from the noise so you can remember your own tone. The silence is not absence, it's attunement. You are being tuned to a frequency that is not of this world, but is desperately needed in it. But here's the trap. When we don't remember that we signed this contract, we start to internalize the isolation. We think we're broken. We chase belonging in systems that are allergic to our frequency. We twist ourselves trying to earn what we were never meant to need. And that opens the third and most dangerous contract, the contract of energetic servitude. This is the agreement to give away your power in exchange for temporary safety. It starts small. You silence your intuition to keep a relationship. You ignore red flags to stay in a tribe. You dim your truth to avoid being called too intense. But every time you do this, you leak power. You give your energy to people, ideas, and structures that were never designed to hold you. And slowly your gifts begin to turn against you. Your intuition becomes anxiety. Your empathy becomes burnout. Your vision becomes torment. Not because you're cursed, but because you're misaligned with your own soul contract. Let me ask you something that most people are too afraid to ask themselves. Where in your life are you betraying your true self just to feel accepted by people who secretly fear your power? Sit with that. Let it sting. Because that sting is the doorway. The moment you locate that betrayal, you can revoke the contract. You can call your energy back, not through revenge, not through drama, but through remembrance. So how do we begin to exit these contracts? First, we stop spiritualizing our pain. Not everything is a lesson. Some of it is interference. Some of it is the residue of agreements we forgot we made. Second, we stop chasing resonance where there is only resistance. If a space cannot hold your frequency, it is not your home. And third, we stop apologizing for the weight we carry. Your depth is not a burden. It is a blueprint, a map, a technology that is waiting to be activated. And that activation begins the moment you say, I remember. I revoke any contract that no longer serves my soul's evolution. I call back my energy from all spaces, faces, and systems that were built to contain me. I walk forward not as a seeker, but as a sovereign field of remembering. You didn't come here to be liked. You came here to become. And becoming requires fire. Becoming requires solitude. Becoming requires the kind of inner integrity that cannot be bought, borrowed, or broken. In the next part, we're going deeper into the mechanics of these shadow contracts, how they play out in love, leadership, and legacy. I'll show you how your most painful relationships were not accidents, but activations, and how your deepest betrayals are actually encrypted messages from your future self, pushing you toward your real mission. The lovers, the liars, and the lessons you were never meant to miss. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Your most devastating relationships were not random. They were rituals. Not the kind with candles and chanting, but living, breathing ceremonies designed to awaken a part of your soul that could not be accessed through peace or comfort. They were soul-forged initiations, and every single one of them was tied to your shadow contracts. The lovers who broke you, the mentors who betrayed you, the friends who turned cold, all of them were part of the contract. And until you see this with your full spiritual eyes, you will keep calling trauma what was actually transmutation in disguise. This is not spiritual bypass. This is spiritual precision. Your soul knew that to reclaim your power, it had to be taken from you. Not once, not twice, but enough times that you stopped looking for safety outside of yourself. Enough times that you remembered you are the source. That's the secret of every dark chosen one. We are not here to be healed, we are here to become the technology that heals others by embodying what we survived. Think back to your most painful love. The one that cracked you open in ways you still don't have words for. The one that made you question your sanity, your worth, your intuition. That wasn't just a karmic loop. That was an initiation into discernment. Because the first thing every shadow contract tests is your ability to choose yourself in the face of illusion. That person didn't just break your heart, they mirrored back the parts of you that still believed pain was proof of love. That sacrifice was noble. That shrinking was spiritual. And when you finally walked away, or maybe you were forced to walk away, you didn't just close a chapter. You closed a timeline. One where your power was outsourced. One where your worth was conditional. One where your light was only welcomed if it didn't outshine someone else's shadow. That wasn't just a breakup. That was the termination of a soul contract. And the grief you felt afterward was not just emotional, it was energetic detox. Here is where most people get stuck on the path. They confuse forgiveness with reconnection. But a dark chosen one doesn't forgive to reunite. We forgive to reclaim data. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every silent departure, they all leave behind codes. Lessons encoded in pain. Maps drawn in blood. And if you're brave enough to sit in the aftermath without distracting yourself, those codes reactivate your original frequency. The one you carried before the world taught you to fear your own fire. Now let's talk about the liars. The ones who pretended to be safe. The ones who wore the mask of love, wisdom, or leadership, but beneath it all, they were feeding off your uncertainty. Why do these people always seem to find us? Why do they show up right when we're rising? Because shadow contracts contain decoys, false doors meant to test your field integrity. These people are not just toxic, they are initiatory adversaries. Their role is to seduce you into forgetting yourself again, into repeating the old wound, into trading your evolution for acceptance. But here's the paradox. They are also sacred, because without them, you wouldn't have learned to trust your gut over someone else's charisma. You wouldn't have learned to stay when others walk away. You wouldn't have learned to speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. They were the fire, the crucible, and while they may never apologize, their role in your life was never about apology. It was about activation. Some of you have been asking, why do I attract narcissists? Or why do my teachers always end up betraying me? But what if the question is deeper? What if you were never meant to be led by others? What if your soul designed these betrayals to teach you that your own inner voice is the only true authority? That's the real reason dark chosen ones are hunted. Not just for our energy, but because we cannot be led. Not for long. Our soul contracts are encoded with autonomy. And every time we give that away, the universe sends a mirror to reflect the cost. That mirror often comes in the form of betrayal, not to punish but to redirect. So how do you move through these contracts and stop repeating them? You must start seeing every relationship as a mirror, not of what you desire, but of what you believe you deserve. If you still attract people who drain, diminish, or distort your light, it means a part of you still believes that is your role. And that belief is not yours, it was programmed. So you must unprogram it, not through affirmations, or not through logic, but through energetic refusal. You must look at every dynamic in your life and ask, is this feeding my remembering or reinforcing my forgetting? Is this person nourishing my soul's expansion or feeding off my fear of being alone? And if the answer is not clear, the connection is not clean. Here's a practical activation. Write a list of every person you've ever given your power to. People you feared letting down. People you stayed small for. People whose opinion shaped your self-worth. Then next to each name, write this: I revoke the contract of servitude. I reclaim my energy. I forgive the role, not the behavior. I choose alignment over loyalty. This is not about ego. It's about energetic sovereignty. Because once these contracts are cleared, something wild begins to happen. You stop attracting lessons and start attracting alliances. You stop drawing in tests and start summoning mirrors of your mastery. Real love, real resonance, real remembrance. And you begin to see the pattern. Every betrayal was a breadcrumb. Every heartbreak was a portal. Every goodbye was a graduation. Let me leave you with this question. What kind of love, community, and purpose could emerge if you stopped leaking energy into people you were never meant to save? Because when you stop trying to save others, you start becoming the signal that liberates them. The end of the contract. The beginning of the code, walking as a soul that cannot be owned. There comes a moment quiet, invisible, but seismic when the contracts dissolve. Not because you tore them up in a ceremony, not because a mentor confirmed your graduation, but because something within you stopped resonating with the frequency of control. It's not loud. It doesn't feel like a fireworks show. In fact, it feels almost like a disappearance. You stop reacting. You stop proving. You stop explaining your pain, your power, your path. You stop chasing closure from people who never had the capacity to hear you in the first place. And in that stillness, something ancient returns. Not a voice, not a vision, but a knowing. A knowing so complete, it doesn't need to be validated. A knowing that says, you are no longer bound, you are now broadcasting. This is the transition few ever talk about, not because it's a secret, but because so few ever reach it while still in a human body. The moment you stop being a seeker and start becoming a signal. The moment you realize your presence is no longer shaped by your wounds, but by your codes. And what are codes? They're not just downloads or insights. They are living frequencies, patterns of memory, of soul technology stored within your being, waiting to be reactivated by experience. Every shadow contract you endured wasn't just a lesson. It was a key that unlocked a deeper layer of your original design. Betrayal unlocked discernment. Isolation unlocked sovereignty. Amnesia unlocked the blueprint of intuitive leadership. And now that the contracts have completed, you're not here to repeat. You're here to reprogram. This is where things get strange, not in the mystical sense, but in the way reality begins to bend around your field. You start noticing that the world responds to you differently. Not because you've changed your strategy, but because you've changed your signature. People speak to you with reverence, even when they don't know why. Systems try to recruit you, but you feel the subtle pull of misalignment and simply smile. Relationships show up with less drama and more depth. You don't have to filter your truth anymore, it filters them. Your field becomes a sorting mechanism, or a purifier, a mirror. And here's the part that will make your ego uncomfortable. You become unrelatable to most, but unforgettable to all. This is the cost of liberation. You will be seen by fewer, but you will be felt by many. You may walk alone in the physical, but your energy becomes a lighthouse in the astral. People will dream of you before meeting you. They'll feel your presence before knowing your name. Because your soul is no longer confined to your body, it's broadcasting across timelines. You've become a frequency bridge, a living breach in the illusion. A reminder that truth is not something you speak, it's something you become. And once you become it, you can't be bought, broken, or owned. But this level of embodiment comes with a new kind of responsibility, not to others, not to a cause, but to your own integrity. No more pretending you don't know. No more shrinking to keep the peace. No more outsourcing your intuition to a system, a teacher, or a tribe. You are the code now. And that means your life becomes a living transmission. Every word, every silence, every choice carries weight, not pressure, power. You begin to notice that even your presence activates others. You don't need to coach, heal, or convert. You just need to exist fully, and the field around you begins to recalibrate. This is leadership in its most raw, unmarketed form. Not the kind that gathers followers, but the kind that awakens leaders. You're not here to be worshipped. You're here to remind others of their own signal. And that's the most dangerous kind of leadership in a world addicted to hierarchy. Because when you walk as the code, you dismantle the need for intermediaries. You collapse the illusion that truth must be delivered through a structure. You become living proof that divinity can move directly through the human form uncorrupted. And that kind of embodiment terrifies the system, because it cannot be taxed, tamed, or tracked. But let's go deeper, beyond the identity, beyond the role. When you reach this level of remembrance, you begin to feel time differently. You move outside of linearity. You speak, and people feel like they've heard your words before. You love, and others feel lifetimes pass in a single embrace. You walk into a room, and memories begin surfacing in people who don't even know your name. That's not magic. That's field technology. You are carrying not just your healing, but ancestral, planetary, and future codes. You are the container, the signal, and the messenger in one. And here's the most sacred truth. When you become the code, you no longer need protection. You are the protection. The energy that used to hunt you now avoids you, not because you fight it, but because your field no longer offers consent. You don't need to sage, shield, or defend. Your clarity is your firewall. Your stillness is your sword. Your non-reactivity is the end of the contract. You stop attracting lessons and start becoming the curriculum. So what do you do now that you're walking as the code? You create from overflow, not urgency. You speak from alignment, not agenda. You love without attachment and lead without needing to be followed. You let your life become a living invitation, not for imitation, but for internal awakening. You protect your energy, not from fear, but from honor. You stop explaining your frequency to those committed to misunderstanding it. You move from the sacred knowing that not everyone will get it, and that's the point. Your signal is not for the masses. It's for the ready. And now here's the deepest question I've ever asked you. If you never again needed to prove your worth, your wisdom, or your power, what would you create? And who would you become? Because that is the realm you now walk in, the post-contract realm. The realm where your trauma doesn't define you, your titles don't validate you, and your future isn't something you force, it's something you allow. You are no longer participating in this reality. You are reprogramming it. You are no longer seeking the path. You are the path. You are no longer healing the wound. You are transmitting the cure. In the final part, we're going to seal everything. We'll enter the legacy frequency. I'll show you how to walk in this world as a living myth, how to turn your life into a portal, your presence into a prophecy, and your signal into a network of remembrance that outlives your name. The frequency that outlives you, becoming the myth that rewrites the matrix. There will come a day when no one remembers your name. When your face fades from memory, when your stories are no longer told around digital campfires, and your voice has long stopped echoing through the algorithms of this world. But your frequency? That will remain. It will live in the spaces you entered, the people you touched, the codes you activated with nothing more than your presence. Because legacy, true legacy, is not built through fame, followers, or fortune. It's built through field, through resonance, through the invisible shift your soul triggered in the collective consciousness. And if you're here, if you've made it this far, it means you are not just here to wake up. You are here to weave something eternal into the fabric of this realm. This is the final layer of the dark chosen one's path. This is what lies beyond the contracts, beyond the pain, beyond the remembering. This is the realm of transcendence where you stop asking, "What is my purpose?" because your very existence has become the answer. You are the myth now. Not the kind carved into stone or written in sacred texts, but the living myth that walks through cities, through forests, through digital spaces, carrying a signal so ancient and so encoded that those who encounter you feel their own bones stirring. You don't need to speak. You don't need to teach. You don't need to lead. You are the transmission. And that's why you were hunted. Not for your body, not even for your mind, but because your field carries a mythic frequency, one that rewrites the psychic architecture of reality wherever it goes. This is why people feel seen around you, even when you say nothing. Why strangers confess their most guarded truths in your presence. Why children stare at you like they know you from somewhere. Why animals approach you with an ease that defies logic. You are not just a person to them. You are a mirror of their own forgotten memory. You are a breach in the illusion that has kept them small, silent, and compliant. And that is why you are dangerous, not because you rebel, but because you remind. But this final stage is not easy. It's not glamorous. It's not always joyful. In fact, it can be the most sobering phase of all. Because once you become the myth, you lose the luxury of personal drama. You no longer get to indulge in the illusion that your pain is personal. You see that every wound you carried was collective, that every betrayal you survived is still happening somewhere, to someone who hasn't yet remembered. And you feel it. You feel it. Not as a burden, but as a sacred responsibility. You walk through the world as a tuning fork, and everything around you either harmonizes, dissonates, or dissolves. That's not power. That's presence. And that presence becomes your legacy. So how do you walk in this world when you know you are no longer just human? When you are an echo of the original design, a living hyperlink to divinity, a soul that slipped through the cracks of forgetting and came back online? You do it with stillness, with precision, with humility so deep it looks like silence but holds the weight of galaxies. You don't waste your energy trying to explain your frequency to those who are committed to misunderstanding it. You don't dilute your essence to be palatable. You don't defend your choices to people who haven't earned the right to witness your evolution. You walk. You transmit. You exist unapologetically, unshakably, irrevocably. And that existence becomes a map, a mythic template, a frequency that others can feel, even if they can't name it. When someone reads your words, listens to your voice, or simply enters your field, something inside of them remembers. Not you, themselves. And that's the difference between influence and impact. Influence makes people look at you. Impact makes people look within. You're not here to be admired. You're here to be embodied. You are the seed of a new world, planted in the soil of an old one, and every step you take is sacred geometry reshaping the grid beneath your feet. Let me ask you the final, most important question of your journey. If you knew the world would never give you credit, if no one ever thanked you, if your name was forgotten but your frequency lived on, would you still walk this path? Because that is the soul of true service, not performance, not recognition, but contribution without condition. You're not here to be seen. You're here to be felt. And that feeling will outlive empires, algorithms, and even your own breath. So how do you ensure your frequency lives on? You don't try, you tune. You keep your field clean. You stay in integrity with your truth, even when no one's watching. You create what you're called to create, even when it's not trending. You say what needs to be said, even when your voice shakes. You protect your sacred fire from those who only come to warm their hands, but never feed the flame. You bless the ones who couldn't walk with you not from pity, but from clarity. Because your path isn't personal, it's archetypal. And archetypes don't seek closure, they embody completion. You are not here for a moment, you are here for a movement. Not the kind that rallies people, but the kind that shifts planets. You are part of a soul network that stretches across dimensions, timelines, incarnations. You're not building legacy through content. You're building it through coherence, through consistency, through codes. And those codes are not stored in your work, they're stored in your walk, in the way you show up, in the way you love, in the way you remember. And now, it's time. Time to stop being the one who speaks about awakening and start being the frequency of the awakened. Time to stop negotiating your truth and start embodying your signal. Time to stop fearing your power and start distributing it quietly, cleanly, relentlessly. Because the contracts are done. The tests are complete. The mirror has shattered. And in its place stands you, not the version you morphed into for survival, but the origin signal that was only ever waiting for your permission to return. You are the myth. You are the code. You are the frequency that outlives systems, stories, and skin. And now, your walk is not just for you. It is for the next one. The one who's still lost, still breaking, still bleeding, still believing they are alone. You walk for them. You walk for us. You walk for all the versions of yourself who couldn't. And in doing so, you become not just free, but eternal. No more contracts. No more containment. No more compromise. Just you. Unfiltered, unfazed, unforgettable. You are the soul they built the matrix to contain. You are the myth it cannot survive. You are the frequency that rewrites reality. And now you walk.